Good Thursday morning. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Lots of economic reports out this morning after the Federal Reserve made its decision to hold interest rates steady yesterday. We'll talk about those coming up. We've got unemployment numbers as well, and some important economic data today and tomorrow regarding the interest rates, the inflation, which affects the interest rates as we keep moving forward here. And folks, let's get into it with that market watch. And here we go, folks, on this day. Everything is up as we're looking at it right now. And lots of breaking news today. Like my computer is going crazy with the breaking news out there and everything. But right now, the Dow Jones is up to 349 points, up to 51,907. The S&P 500 is up 107 points to 7411 as of right now. The Nasdaq's up 525 points to 25,068. Then you got the Russell 2K, the small cap index, 26 points up to 29 here today as well. Bitcoin, well, trending back up overall for the day, 944 points, and back into that 64,836 range. So right back to that 65-ish range. And it kind of found a home at here over the last couple of weeks as well. And there's some big ups today in tech. There's some big downs today in tech as well. We'll talk about those here in just a minute when we look at stocks. But overall, positive day. Oil is, well, it's kind of staying even today. Let's put it that way. Saudi Arabia has now joined into the fray there in the Middle East overnight, our time. So it's kind of riling the markets as they're taking care of it, but not a big movement, at least in those oil prices here today as well. First stock we're going to look at today, well, we're going to look at Microsoft out there. A lot of people paying attention to Microsoft this morning. 14.89% up here for them. Well, they reported their second quarter revenue, and it was $90.01 billion for them. Estimates were only $87.62 billion for Microsoft. Yeah. Growth, let's see here. The Azure growth of 43% at the constant currency I know it's because they operate in multiple countries there, right? But the growth of 43% at the constant currency numbers will beat the estimates of 40.2% growth out there as well. They said the revenue in the 2026 fiscal year, well, it surpassed $100 billion for the first time. Microsoft, well, being rewarded on the stock market today with that news out there as well. They're up 15.01% here today. And then the opposite is happening. Meta Platforms is what we're going to look at. Go from tech stock to tech stock. They're having the opposite problem today. Meta is 9.14% on the stock market right now. They posted their earnings per share, $6.18 for the last quarter. Well, they missed the analyst estimates by a whole $1.04 per share. Yeah, big miss here by Meta Platforms. It forecasted third quarter revenue between $61 and $64 billion. The lower end of that $61 billion number, the lower end there, well, it's lighter than the $63.15 billion that's estimated by analysts out there. Meta Platforms, opposite problem of Microsoft, down 9.44% today based off of their news of the missing numbers, or at least expecting lower numbers out there for them. Next up, we're going to look at Teladoc Health, a virtual healthcare services company. Well, they're down huge today, 26.47% after the market has opened here. I mean, it opened 18% down and has continued to fall here today. Their second quarter revenue fell short of expectations. Teladoc's reported revenue of only $606.9 million. The expectation was $615.4 million as well. Yeah, here's the problem. What they're taking a hit on. Yes, they missed their revenue goal, but also they lowered their full year revenue guidance as well. So Teladoc Health down 26.47% here on the market today. Later on, when we come back and look at stocks, We're going to look at a local company based out of Arizona here. Carvana is what we're going to talk about. Sirius XM. A lot of this time of year is kind of an interesting year for Sirius, right? Howard Stern comes off his summer vacation. A lot of question marks, a lot of rumors. But SiriusXM is making waves today on the stock market. We'll talk about that coming up here. And then Chipotle Mexican Grill also in the news out there. So we'll check out those stocks coming up. But first, get you updated on yesterday's happenings with the Federal Reserve. Yeah, and they did decide and they announced that they will hold interest rates steady. And it's all due to the concerns of elevated inflation and then what that inflation is going to do with this continued war in Iran. So it was a 9-3 vote by the federal policymakers to leave the benchmark federal funds rate unchanged. And its the current rate is 3.5 to 3.75%. This move follows the central bank's decision to hold rates steady pretty much all year long. Well, not pretty much, all year long. January, March, April, I believe it is, and then June, if I remember correctly. And before that, they had three in a row 25 basis point rate cuts last year. And that was, I know that was September, October, and December last year as well. So the trends are there on what they're doing, right? The Federal Open Market Committee, well, that's the panel responsible for monetary policy moves. They did note yesterday during their meeting that economic activity is expanding at a solid pace, despite elevated uncertainty that owes in part to the conflict in the Middle East, was their wording that they put out. Now, they also noted that inflation remains above the Fed's 2% goal, as we know, and they say that in part is because of supply shocks driving price increases into sectors, specifically energy is what they noted there. But they also added that, you know, they will deliver price stability, and moving forward. So energy, the spikes there, and then the energy spikes lead to spikes in other things like food, etc., because everything moves with something that has oil on it, right? Whether it be trucks, trains, planes, etc. And so energy is the big problem here with what's happening in this economy. The FOMC also noted that job growth is keeping pace with the workforce and that the unemployment rate has changed little. We've told you that here on McCollum on Business. And I have an updated unemployment report as of this morning as well coming your way in just a few minutes. Now, interesting, I told you it was a 9-3 or an 8-3 vote here in this voting. So three members dissented from the decision to keep rates the same. And so you look into that. Each of the dissenters voted in favor of raising the federal funds rate by 25 basis points. We told you Tuesday, I believe it was, 73% of the people that watch these things say that there's going to be a rate increase coming up in September. Three people, at least now, are getting on board with that rate hike here with this voting yesterday as well. So something to watch coming up as well. And then, we get some economic news out there today. The U.S. economy did expand. It was a slow expansion, 1.5% from April through June. Rising imports did continue to weigh on the growth of our economy. Consumer spending, though, did rise. The Federal Reserve's, and that's the Federal Reserve's favorite measure of inflation, well, it did grow slowly last month compared to a big expansion as well. Obviously, it's still above the 2% target, right? So this morning, the Commerce Department reported the growth in the U.S. gross domestic product. You know that. That's the nation's output of goods and services. It decelerated from 2.1% in the first 3 months of this year, and it came in below the economists' expectations. So you go from that number to consumer spending. That accounts for about 70% of U.S. economic activity. It actually increased at a 3.2% annual clip. That's up 0.5% in the January March period. So business investment is the big thing here. Now, that does not include housing, but business investment rose at an 8.4% pace. Now, that is down from the 10.6% pace that it was at in January through March timeframe. But why would that be still so high? Well, artificial intelligence investment is why that continues to be a staggering high number with investments. Now, With the GDP, imports are subtracted from the economic figures. GDP is only supposed to count what is produced here in the United States. So imports subtract from that GDP number. And imports actually rose at an 11.5% pace. Right? Now, a lot of that had to do with the surge in shipments we've told you about here. Things on computer chips, other products that support AI investments coming into this market. Plus, there was a rush to get shipments over here with what is thought to be some tariffs coming in. We know China and Canada have already had tariffs put on them, 50% tariffs. So there was a rush to get stuff over the border and onto our side before those giant tariffs did go into effect. The imports shaved 1.5 percentage points off second quarter GDP growth. Now, the Department they came out also and said personal consumption expenditures. You had the PCE report that came out today, and that's the one favored by the Fed. Well, it rose 3.7% last month from June 2025. Now, that's down from a 4.1% year over year increase that happened in May. So, slower number of inflation there. However, it's still well above the 2% level the Fed wants to see. So if you want to, go to you know, core consumer prices, that excludes food and energy prices because they're so volatile. Well, that was up to 3.3% from a year earlier. So little change from 3.4% increase in May for the core number out there as well. And then we move over into the U.S. filings for jobless aid here. Now, this is the week ending July 25th. Now, it rose by 9,000. It went up to 197,000 people reporting or filing for jobless aid. Now, we get these reports from the Labor Department. Came out this morning as well. The previous week's figure was revised up by 1,000. That went up to 188,000. But this is the lowest in more than 50 years for the unemployment numbers now. Part of that is a lot of people have what they say stopped looking for jobs, so they fall off of these numbers as well. Analysts surveyed by data firms out there, well, they forecasted 207,000 new applications, so we did come in underneath that number. The why do we pay attention to the weekly filings for unemployment benefits? Well, it's a representative of layoffs. They're close to a real-time indicator of the health of the U.S. job market. So, in the June jobs report earlier this month, well, the government reported that employers pulled back on hiring. They added only 57,000 jobs. So, we're having low unemployment numbers, but jobs aren't being created to kind of replace and put people into them here, right? That's where they say you got the no hire, low hire, low fire, or low hire, low fire economy, if I can say it right there. That's happening out there, and that's still happening out there as well. Now, the unemployment rate dropped from to 4.2% from 4.3% in May. But again, the reason why that drop probably happened is because many out of work people gave up looking for jobs. And they once that happens, you're no longer counted as unemployed when that happens. So unemployment rate historically low, still strong on the jobless claims, and just not a lot of jobs being created out there either. Turn to the business of sports and memorabilia out there. And a lot of people must still have a lot of disposable income. Yeah. You missed the news last week in the sports world. LeBron James, well, he was a free agent and he decided to go to the Philadelphia 76ers as his next team. And he says his final team out there. Well, that means fans of LeBron James and the 76ers quickly jumped onto that announcement. Fanatics came out and they said the newest jersey has broken some records in their numbers. So his Philadelphia 76ers jersey. So the period of the first 48 hours after LeBron James made his long awaited announcement, and boy, did he draw it out. The 76ers jersey sold the most ever of a player joining a new team across all sports. That's according to Fanatics Records out there. Who did he pass? Well, LeBron James passed Shohei Ohtani's decision to move to the Los Angeles Dodgers from the Angels back in 2023. More James merchandise was sold in the first 24 hours after his decision was made than the first week after he signed with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2018. Yeah. 76ers fans and East Coasters really love him going there to Philadelphia. Now, since Friday, LeBron James merchandise has accounted for 8 of the top 10 selling products of all sports throughout the Fanatics networks of sites as well. LeBron James is entering his 24th year in the league in the NBA. His fourth different team. He signed just a 2-year, $8 million contract with the Sixers to move over to them as well. Now, he promised us this would be his last decision. We'll see if he's a man of his word there coming up with this 2-year deal. Um, but record sales there by him moving teams out there. And those stories fascinate me because, like I said, just everybody needs the new LeBron jersey out there, whether you're a 76ers fan or just a LeBron fan. And let's get a little nostalgic here with Chili's. Yeah, Chili's is doing another redesign here for their restaurants. They have plans to remodel its more than 1,200 locations over the next few years. So what they want to do is they want to harken back to the 1990s aesthetics of Chili's, and that was the Chili's heyday back then. New restaurants will be outfitted with walls with classic memorabilia, the coasters, old menus, even the sheet music for that old iconic song, I Want My Baby Back, Baby Back, Baby Back. Yeah, the Baby Back Ribs jingle is back as well. They're going to replace the tabletops with Southwest inspired tiles of old from the night all the way back into the 90s, folks. But then you'll also find a refreshed bar area with more televisions, eye-catching neon signage promoting those Chili's famed margaritas. Those used to be $5 margaritas. I think they're $6 or $7 margaritas now. So you're going to start seeing those things, signage everywhere inside these Chili's locations. Now, Chili's, they've already done one at their original location in Dallas has already been completed. They did 3 or 4 other locations around Dallas, and those ones differ a little bit because they were deciding on what model to go with. There's several locations, none in Arizona, already being worked on right now. California, I think, is the closest state to us that's doing it besides Texas. None in Arizona yet. But Chili's does plan to remodel 10% of its 1,200 locations annually over the next several years into that old 90s format. And that's the problem is we don't go to Chili's that often, but, every restaurant and thing went to this bleak, brown, bland restaurant style when you walk into them. Go back to the bright, standoff, alone thing. And Chili's is trying it. Let's see if this nostalgia sticks here. All the way back, it harkens all the way back to the 1990s, folks. When we come back here at McCollum on Business, we'll keep it rolling. Local stories coming your way here as well. And, folks, at the end of the day, it's a certain day today. We'll tell you about National Cheesecake Day for those of you that enjoy cheesecake. I'll tell you all about that coming up as well. Come on back, folks. McCollum on Business. And we're back here, McCollum on business here on this Thursday. Appreciate you joining us. Hey, we are one day away from the newest episode. It's the second part of last week's episode for The Real Matrix. And you can catch The Real Matrix noon on Fridays, and it comes out on Rumble and also the free podcasting systems. Rumble.com/user/TME media is where you can find our programming over on Rumble. Maybe someday they're going to allow us to create our own site there and promote it out there, but Rumble's a little different of a system. Rumble is out there. All of our programming's on demand as Rumble, including the pit stop that is up as of yesterday afternoon. But don't forget the Real Matrix tomorrow, Friday, part two of last week's segment coming up noon tomorrow. And on your free podcast systems, just search The Real Matrix Angry Patriot on whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart, Podbean, Podchaser, Google. I'm probably forgetting something out there, but your favorite podcasting system, and it comes right up for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, Rumble, or the free podcasting system, or of course, like or subscribe to the YouTube page as well. That's where we do our live programming right here. This program, 7 a.m. And don't forget, our first week back to our 5-day-a-week schedule is this week. We will be here tomorrow for McCollum on Business and the main event. So come and join us live here on YouTube. TME Media AZ is where you can find us. Also, don't forget, as soon as we're done, we put these programs up on demand as well for you on YouTube and on Rumble. So like and subscribe. If you can't watch us live, catch us on the replay on demand throughout the day there on YouTube as well. All of the shows except for this one and The Real Matrix do have social media sites. The Pit Stop is up, as I said, on YouTube and Rumble. The Pit Stop Talk on X is where you can find that. The main event is TME Sports Show on X as well. And then, this show, well, every show except for this one, is on the free podcasting systems out there as well for you there. So the main event, if you'd rather listen to it, the pit stop, if you'd rather listen to it, just search the show names on your favorite podcast system. It comes right up. And don't forget to like and subscribe, TME Media AZ on X as well. That's just our parent company. We have a website coming your way as well that will have live programming and on-demand services as well as written articles and some other ideas we got coming our way. We've been working on and things coming up here. So you want to follow TME Media AZ on X as well. And look forward to that website coming up here. And it'll be tmemediaaz.com as be that website coming up. And folks, with all that being said, we're having a good day on the market. Let's look into that market watch. And this morning, as I said, continuing to be good out there. Even though we've seen some big variations in stocks here today as well. Semiconductor stocks up. Obviously, Microsoft, we showed you that earlier, even though Meta's way down. Microsoft rallying today as well. NASDAQ's up over 2% here today. The Dow Jones is up to 342 points right now. The S&P 500's up to 101. I told you NASDAQ's up over 2.5% up for the NASDAQ. 621 points to the positive for the NASDAQ, trading at 25,064 here on this Thursday. The Russell 2K, the small cap index, up to 21 points right now. So everything's rallying today. Oil prices, as I said, kind of steady, even though we've, got oil prices. We saw Saudi Arabia get into the fray a little bit over there in the Middle East. Now, we did get the economic reports and unemployment reports and the Federal Reserve numbers yesterday. And we told you all about that at the beginning part of the show, not affecting the market at all here today. Even Bitcoin, it is up for the day here today, but it's still in that 65,000 range where it's kind of found a home. 64,727 is where Bitcoin is trading at here today. So, a lot of analysis on the Fed decision yesterday. Like, for instance, right here, I see an analysis on CNBC. Fed chairman's credibility in question after rates left unchanged. A lot of people on the opposite side of what the Fed did was they wanted a rate increase yesterday, and they held off on that. We'll have to see in September with more numbers coming up. But stocks we're paying attention to here in this segment, well, the local company we pay attention to around here, Carvana, is the one we're going to look at. They're down 9.15% right now. And Carvana, the online used car retailer, You have those big boxes that bring you your cars that as you drive by, especially over there in Tempe. I know they have one out in Glendale and stuff as well. But they Carvana's company full year earnings guidance, which was between 2.7 and $3 billion. Well, that misses the expectations from Wall Street. Estimates include forecasts of 3 to 3.2 billion dollars from big banks like Deutsche Bank out there, and Morgan Stanley has it at $4.45 billion for their expected number. Well, Carvana is saying their full year earnings guidance is only 2.7 to $3 billion. So missing some big analyst numbers specifically. And now the average, they're missing the average as well. But you see how big of a miss it is with two large investment firms. So Carvana down 9.39% here right now on the market. Then we got Sirius XM's the stock we're going to look at. It's always this stock is in an interesting position with satellite radio, and Howard Stern was driving this stock for a lot of years and kind of got away from that a little bit. This stock's just being paying attention to right now because it's Stern. He's got a 3-year deal, but he takes the summer off. Rumors of layoffs, rumors of going to a one-day show. And here today, SiriusXM pops up on my list of stocks to pay attention to. Well, their earnings, they had an earnings miss. SiriusXM did. Not a good thing to have happen with all the other question marks around them right now as well. Their earnings per share is supposed to be 70 cents. Well, the expectation from analysts was 78 cents per share. So SiriusXM here holdings today 3.90% down as of this moment. And then get ready for lunchtime here, folks. Chipotle Mexican Grill's our last stock that we're going to pay attention to here. And they're up 11.07% right now. They were at 7% when the market opened today. So continuing a run up here. Their quarterly earnings showed a beat on the top and bottom lines for Chipotle. They also forecasted same-store sales for the full year will actually increase. Now it's a low single-digit percentage increase, but it's still good to have an increase here for them. They've struggled with that same-store sale growth here over the last several quarters. And now the interesting thing is that low single-digit percentage increase in those same-store sales is higher than its previous outlook of flat same-store sales for the year. So improvement from Chipotle from same-store sales, which is what investors want to see. You're still growing, right? 11.14% right now up for Chipotle Mexican Grill out there. And I haven't been there in a while, and we keep flirting with the idea of going there for lunch, and then we kind of move on from it and everything. I haven't been there in a while. I know the kids last night had it, but Chipotle breaking that same store mailed and up today here on the market. And now the Agriculture Secretary of the United States. Her name's Brooke Rollins, if you're not up on all of the cabinet positions. Well, she came out and said her department will invest $25 million toward opening a new sterile fly dispersal facility, and it's going to happen here in Arizona. This is all to combat that New World screwworm that is in Texas and New Mexico right now and affecting the cattle. So she was here and visiting Arizona, I should say. I almost said visiting the Grand Canyon for some reason. But Rollins joined Arizona GOP reps Andy Biggs, of course, running for governor right now as well, and a couple other reps here. And they got together and they touted the U.S. Department of Agriculture's containment work ahead of the reopening of the southern cattle port. And we're going to be the first cattle port to be opened down there in Douglas, Arizona. Last week, the USDA did say it was implementing a phased reopening of cattle ports starting next month, August, in the case of Douglas. The department closed the entryways in May of 2025, well, because of the outbreak of that screwworm. Now, the USDA will open the port in Douglas on August 24th. And of course, for cattle specifically, here is what we're talking about. And the ports in two New Mexico border cities were set to reopen just after that, a few little bit weeks after that. And that's as long as Mexico complies with a joint action plan the two countries are operating under to combat that screwworm side of things. So she was here. She's doing a facility, $25 million facility being built here in Arizona from the federal government. And then the port opens up. We'll have to see if we can stay clean of that screwworm and it just stays in Texas and New Mexico, or if there's any changes with Douglas being reopened as well. And now your voice matters, folks. I tell people this all the time. Got to speak up. You got to go to the meetings. Well, what am I talking about? Well, the FAA has said it's received substantial feedback, was their wording, all from the public about those plans to change flight paths here at the Valley airports, which is every airport here. They were going to change it. They say they're going to delay the plans to change the flight plans until next June while they go through all the data and your comments. The FAA wants to implement the new satellite based air traffic procedures. They say those will enhance safety and efficiency of airplanes taking off and landing. The delay will give the FAA time to review and address the feedback that they got. And the feedback was pretty much stop it. Let's not do this. If you remember, your voice matters because back in 2014, the FAA changed flight paths that affected several historic neighborhoods in downtown Phoenix. And then a big uproar from that happened, and there was a big discussion, and they ended up changing them and not doing what they originally planned to do at that time as well. So, what they're trying to do, the FAA, is to modernize the Phoenix airspace. The FAA has proposed from moving away from what they have now, a dispersed flight paths. They want to move to satellite guided paths moving forward. So these paths act like a highway for planes. And the new way they want to do it is going to consolidate traffic to set routes. Now when a plane takes off, it's kind of got options on where it can go. So one neighborhood might have a plane fly over, but then the next two or three planes might miss their neighborhood, for instance. What they want to do is go to where, nope, it's the planes take off and go the same route every time out there. We got a lot of conversation about this out where I am because Mesa Gateway Airport. Sometimes a plane flies over our neighborhood. Most of the time it doesn't, right? And if they change it, will it change over the neighborhood, etc.? So neighborhoods underneath the proposed flight paths, well, you could hear more consistent plane noise because every plane will be crossing over you. So on this FAA proposal, around 80,000 residents in North Phoenix would experience a reportable noise increase between 3 and 6 decibels, which you guys know what a plane sounds like flying overhead when it's not, 30,000 feet into the sky. It's not loud, but it's noticeable. And so that's where the feedback's coming from, those communities here in Arizona. But the FAA delaying that decision until June of next year's. And folks, we've been telling you here on this program a lot. And like I'm all for innovation, but I've seen it firsthand out in Mesa with these data centers going in. Our utility rates have gone up, our water rates have gone up. I'm on my HOA board, and our biggest thing right now is water rates through the roof for large water people because we get lumped into the data center water usage numbers. Got some facts here for you now to back up what I've been saying all along here. And the Arizona's two largest utilities reported record-setting energy demands last week. We told you about that on Friday. SRP and APS, record demand on that 117-degree day. But for APS, early information shows data centers were the largest drivers in peak energy demand growth year over year. Yeah. All of this demand, the 14% interest from increase that APS wants, and the increases SRP puts through, they're trying to keep up with the demand of the data centers. Adding to our demand is what they're trying to do. Data centers were responsible for nearly 7% of APS's record demand last week. Now, 7% doesn't sound like a lot, but homes don't hit that number. The data centers used up to 630 megawatts on Friday by themselves. That's 200 megawatts more than data centers used during APS's peak demand back in 2025. So we're talking bigger numbers here on these data centers. So data centers drove half of the total 400 megawatts of peak demand growth APS saw this year compared to the previous record. Now, APS did not say how much power was consumed by other customer classes like industrial users or residents, and that's what they should do because I think they put out the data center number to say it's only 7%. Okay, well, give us industrial users. Give us what the residents use. What's the comparison numbers here with those growths, right? Now, SRP did see similar record demand on Friday as APS did. They were unable to provide information on how much data centers contributed, or they don't want to as well. So we're seeing increased demand 7%. It doesn't sound like a lot, folks, but your rates are going up because of their demand coming in here on these data centers as well. And folks, let's get into some good stories here. Well, good story if you're a cheesecake fan. Today, July 30th, Thursday, it's National Cheesecake Day. Some restaurant chains are celebrating with sweet deals, no pun intended, for us, the customers. Now, according to the Old Farmer's Almanac, National Cheesecake Day was established back in 1985. Well, the cheesecake itself has roots dating back to the ancient Greece. We blame Greece for the cheesecake. I am not a cheesecake fan at all. Yeah, the early Greek cakes were called plakos, if I'm saying it properly. Well, it can be translated as fat cake or flat cakes, is what it translates into. They were made with crumbled cheese mix and flour and honey, and then baked on a griddle back then. Well, many local bakeries and restaurants will be offering deals, so obviously check with places that sell cheesecake here in your area. But USA Today puts away some deals, people that are here, and some of their deals. So I'm going to pass those along to you. The Cheesecake Factory, obviously, they got to have a deal today. You know, they're most known for its cheesecake selection. You walk in and they have 40, 50 of them sitting there on their counter, different flavors and everything. They're offering all dine-in customers any slice of cheesecake for half price today, July 30th. Half price if you're a dine-in customer. The company says it has more than 30 cheesecake flavors for diners to choose from. They're also using this occasion of National Cheesecake Day. They're going to unveil its new flavor today. The Brownie Crunch Chocolat Cheesecake. It's a creamy milk and white chocolate marble cheesecake atop a rich, crunchy toffee brownie. For every slice of Brownie Crunch chocolate cheesecake sold through July 29th, 2027, so a year now, well, the Cheesecake Factory will donate 25 cents to Feeding America. So next year, that specific flavor, 25 cents when you buy it. So go do some charity work today as well while you're eating the new flavor of cheesecake. And then there's Freddy's Frozen Custard. There's a few of those around here. They're getting in on the fun National Cheesecake Day. They're offering loyalty program members a $2.99 mini chocolate covered strawberry cheesecake. Just today only on July 30th out there. Those are just a couple that USA Today told us about here as well for Cheesecake Day. Are you guys a big cheesecake fan? I mean, people have to be if there's a National Cheesecake Day and everybody's kind of paying attention to it. Kind of have to be people eat it. I'm not a fan of it. So get out there, get your cheesecake if you'd like to. And folks, I appreciate you joining me here on this Thursday edition. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, we will be live tomorrow on Friday, McCollum on Business and the main event. Now we're done here. We're going to move over and do the main event coming up 8 to 10 a.m. live here on YouTube as well. TME Media AZ. If you can't catch us live, catch us on demand later in the day, folks. We'd appreciate it. We'll see you there. Have a great Thursday night. See you Friday morning, folks.